Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for a discussion about the Federal Emergency Broadband Benefit Program and how it's going to have an impact on Multnomah County and our community. As folks know, there is a lot going on at the federal level and so many acronyms to keep track of. We are discussing the Emergency Broadband Benefit, or EBB, today because this program will be starting May 12th, which is next Wednesday, and will require people to sign up directly. Next slide. So today we'll answer what is the Emergency Broadband Benefit, or EBB for short, who is eligible, how to figure out which service provider in our community is participating, how to enroll, local resources to get more help, and what you can do as a community partner to help those that you serve. My name is Elizabeth Perez, and I am the Director for the Office for Community Technology with the City of Portland. And I am going to go ahead and let each of the panelists introduce themselves. So let's go ahead and start with Rachel.
Hey everyone, my name is Rachel Lang and I work in Senator Wyden's office in Washington, D.C.
Thank you. Sean.
Hello everyone, this is Sean Davis. I am the Research and Policy Manager with NDIA, the National Digital Inclusion Alliance.
Thanks, Sean. Alonzo.
Hello, Hello, everyone. My name is Alonso Melendez. I work for Multnomah County Library as the Digital Equity and Inclusion Coordinator.
And last but not least, Rebecca.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Rebecca Gibbons, the Digital Inclusion Program Manager with the City of Portland.
Thanks, Rebecca, and thank you all for joining me today. So let's go ahead and get started. Rachel, can you kick us off by telling us how the EBB came to be and what it can do for individuals in the Multnomah County community?
I would be happy to. So everyone, thanks for having me here today. I'm really thrilled to be with some really dedicated community partners and organizers. For as long as I've known him, Senator Wyden has said that broadband is essential. And if there were any question about it, the COVID-19 pandemic, health and economic crisis made that answer abundantly clear. Fast, reliable broadband is now as essential as electricity, and the federal government has to make sure that everyone can access it. My boss's goal along these lines is connecting 100% of Oregonians 100% of the time. And to do that, he's focused on two main things, connectivity and affordability for every Oregonian. First, on connectivity. He thinks it's past time to get high quality broadband infrastructure throughout rural Oregon. This will require significant investment and partnerships with local communities, and it's a task that Democrats back in Washington are united in accomplishing. Second, on affordability. The federal government has to ensure that all Americans can afford to use that broadband service once it's available. My boss often says that broadband isn't accessible if it isn't affordable, and he's exactly right. Yet for too many in rural and low-income communities across Oregon, affordability remains a major hurdle to getting online and bridging the digital divide. Obviously, COVID has only made this worse. My boss wanted to make sure that workers and families do not find themselves stranded offline just at the same time as they lose a paycheck. This is where the Emergency Broadband Benefit, or the EBB, comes in. Congress created the EBB program, which was based on legislation that Senator Wyden led in the Senate as part of the December COVID-19 relief and government spending bill. This program will begin enrollment on May 12th. In advance of that, I wanted to provide a brief overview of the EBB and what it will offer for Oregonians. The EBB program is simple. It's a federal program to lend a hand to working families struggling to pay for internet service during the pandemic so that they can connect to jobs, critical healthcare service, virtual classrooms, or have a family night after a long week. Throughout the EBB, the federal government will provide a discount of up to $50 per month towards broadband service for eligible households and up to $75 per month for households on tribal lands. Eligible households can also receive a one-time discount of up to $100 to purchase a laptop, desktop computer, or tablet from participating providers. And with that, I'll flip it back to you, Elizabeth.
Thanks, Rachel. I'm really excited about this program and what it's going to do for our community. Alonzo, can you tell us a little bit more about who can sign up for this program?
Yeah, absolutely. And so folks who are eligible, there's a few ways to know if someone is eligible for the EBB. If a person or their household income is at at or below 135% of the poverty limit, they would qualify. Or if they experience a substantial loss of income since February 29, 2020, and their income was at least or less than 99,000 for single filers or less than 198,000 for joint filers, that would qualify you. If at least one person or maybe a child in the household is currently receiving resources or benefits such as SNAP, Lifeline, Medicaid, received a federal Pell Grant during the current award year, or receive free or reduced breakfast or lunch, or live in a school district that offers free or reduced school lunch, those will qualify you. Receiving unemployment benefits can also qualify a person or a family, a household, for the Emergency Broadband Benefit Program. People who have past due bills with internet service providers can still receive the EBB credit if they meet the eligibility criteria. And something just important to note, that every person must enroll in the program. People or households will not be automatically enrolled into the EBB. Yeah. And then, in terms of eligibility, we also should discuss households. Wait, no, did I go too far? So sorry. Who is eligible?
I think you covered that.
Did I cover that?
Yep, I think we're just going on to households now. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Let's see. Okay. So households, the way that households are being defined is a group of people that live together, and that's the first bullet point here. But even if you live at the same address with other households, you can still qualify. There is a portion of the application that will allow you to identify as an independent economic household. And so you can still receive the EBB for your household at the same address with other households. Folks who are experiencing houselessness can also qualify. They can use a descriptive address to be able to apply for the EBB. And again, just to make it clear, anyone in the household who meets any of the eligibility criteria, whether it's a child or an adult, can qualify the family or the household for the EBB.
Awesome. Great. Thanks, Alonso. Sean, is there more that people should know about this?
Definitely. I mean, we're learning a lot about this program. We're learning a lot about EBB, and interestingly enough, I literally just called the Emergency Broadband Support Center to ask them questions about EBB and Lifeline. And as the bullets, as the slide denotes, that households can qualify for both Lifeline and receive EBB benefits. But to go even further with the new information that I received, households who are currently enrolled in Lifeline do not have to provide documentation to sign up for EBB because their information is already there on Lifeline. And so upon signing up for EBB through the National Verifier, a provider might ask to see a eligible participant certain information, identifying information such as name, date of birth, driver's license at that. But in terms of needing documentation, or in terms of needing to provide any forms, households do not have to do that, and they're perfectly able to receive Lifeline from one provider and receive EBB from another provider, especially considering folks who are looking to get a device, a tablet, a laptop, or a computer. They'll need another provider if their provider that they currently have Lifeline with has not signed up for EBB, has not signed up to provide devices for under EBB. And so those are definitely two things to really consider, and just the fact that there are a number of options for households to receive either Lifeline or EBB.
Thanks, Sean. I appreciate the flexibility and the ability to be able to get service from two different providers. Mm-hmm. Who are the providers that are participating?
So what we can say, if you go to the FCC participating providers EBB webpage, you can kind of get a full list of those providers in your state. And it is state by state, because again, this program is 100% voluntary. Providers do not have to participate in this. One provider may say, hey, we're providing internet service and devices, and another could say, yeah, we're just providing internet service. And so that's important, I think, for households to keep in mind. But some of the big major players, Comcast, AT&T, T-Mobile, Cox, Verizon, are offering varying services, and everything from fixed internet service to wireless to mobile internet service, and some also offering devices. And so this is very much a program where households might get something different from their neighbors in a different state. And so I think that's important to keep in mind, that this is not a blanket program where everyone's going to get the same thing. This is all really contingent on a number of factors. And so as I mentioned, those factors are also contingent on which providers cover which areas and which providers decide to participate, in what ways they decide to participate. So yeah.
Thanks, Sean. And just so folks know, all of the companies that Sean mentioned are local providers in Multnomah County, and the City of Portland and Multnomah County Library will be keeping track and sharing that information out as we know more. So Rebecca, how do folks enroll in this program?
Sure. Enrollment opens to households on Wednesday, May 12th. Once enrollment does open, there will be 3 ways to enroll to receive the discount. Online, the enrollment application is accessible by computer or smartphone and is available in English and Spanish. Customers should go to the getemergencybroadband.org to access the application. Another option is by mail. Customers can complete a paper copy of the application and mail it in. We are working to identify community-based organizations throughout Multnomah County that can help distribute paper copies. And you can also call the Emergency Broadband Support Center, the phone number's there on the screen, to request a paper application mailed to a customer. And lastly, there may be an option to apply in person. Some service providers may have opportunities for customers to visit their local storefront, where the company's sales staff can help customers complete the application. We'll know more about which providers are offering this option as the program develops and based on COVID restrictions. To help customers prepare for completing the application, you'll see we've tried to summarize the type of information that is requested in the application. And a couple things of note. A social security number is preferred, but not required. If unable to provide a social security number, there are other forms of identification that are accepted. We'll have a number of ways for the local community partners and residents to access more information about identification documentation alternatives, including on our website, as well as by calling a few local community partners that are setting up to help. Alonzo will share a little bit more about who those partners are in a moment. People who are house insecure or homeless can also apply. In the address field on the application, you can list a shelter or social service agency where you get services or mail, or a cross-street location. An email address is requested but not required as well. If the customer doesn't have an email address, then information about the program and their application will be mailed to them. Depending on the type of qualifying program, SNAP, school lunch, etc., the online application may ask for documentation of program participation be uploaded. If mailing in an application, it's best to include copies of program participation along with the paper application to avoid any long delays in back and forth mail communication. And finally, as I mentioned earlier, the application is available in English and Spanish, both online and in print. Customers who need assistance with the application in another language can call the Emergency Broadband Support Center for in-person translation of the application, or request paper instructions that will become available in 8 additional languages. We're tracking the consumer interface and support services very closely, so community partners should be looking out for more information from us in the coming week.
Thanks, Rebecca. And as Rebecca mentioned, Alonzo, you're going to tell us a little bit more about what we've done at the local level to prepare.
Yeah, so we've been organizing information of who can help, developing and answering FAQs, inviting community-based organizations to support the community with information and enrollment, developing webinars such as this one and other informational material, including flyers that we'll be sending out through community-based organizations, reaching out to food pantries, and trying to really connect with folks who aren't already connected. And go ahead.
Yeah, so what can community organizations do to serve their community?
Yes, so what we really need help with is having, inform your staff at the community-based organizations. If you can inform your staff about the Emergency Broadband Benefit Program so that they can answer questions about the EBB, or at minimum, just point their clients in the direction of where to get verified information. Consider if they have bandwidth to help people enroll into the program, and request support to train staff or enrolling people into the program. They could also provide paper applications and informational flyers.
Great, thanks, Alonzo. And Rebecca, what can we expect to see in the way of community support as the program launches?
Sure. In our effort to support our community leaders, we've developed outreach materials tailored to our local community, and we're sharing those information out through email and through a Google Drive situation. We're going to be working on another video tutorial that will walk through the application process step by step with screenshots of the actual application. And we've launched a Google form that allows our local community partners to request copies of informational flyers and the paper enrollment application. And we'll print those resources and deliver them to you so you can get them out to residents. And we'll continue to share out information through our email blast to the community, doing our best to support them as they engage with residents and let them know about this benefit.
Thanks, Rebecca. Anything else before we wrap up from anyone? All right, well, I think we have things covered then. So I just want to give a big thank you to Senator Wyden for leading the charge on this effort, and to Rachel for joining us today. Thanks to Sean for mobilizing the digital inclusion community across the country so that we can continue to learn from each other and share resources. Alonzo, Rebecca, and myself are here representing the City of Portland, the library, and our local digital inclusion network. To stay up to date on this program or to learn about more efforts around local digital inclusion efforts and COVID-19 response, please join the list by emailing digitalequity@portlandoregon.gov or visit our website at www.portlandoregon.gov/OCT. Thanks all for joining, and we'll catch you next time when you have access to the training materials. So thanks all, and stay tuned.